I was blessed. I came from a really good family. My parents have been married 59 years. They raised 7 kids. They did a tremendous job. They're rigorous in their faith. They had taught us a lot of structure, a lot of discipline, a strong work ethic, a strong sense of responsibility and being of service to others. But I started drinking at the age of 14, blacked out from the very first time, fell absolutely in love with it from the very first time. And yet I was immensely good at hiding it. I went to a Jesuit all-boys college prep high school. I knew how to suit up, I knew how to show up, I knew how to play sports, I knew how to look the part, and yet I started living this double life. It wasn't until later on, a couple of years later on, where I didn't understand that I was really walking myself into a trap. I thought that my drinking and some of my drugging was just what guys did at that age, going through high school or in early 20s, until I got to a point where I'm finding myself now getting arrested. I'm waking up in drunk tanks, having no idea how I got there. I've been thrown in padded cells. I've been surrounded by squad cars. I've had police helicopters on me. I lived this completely double life. I was total Jekyll and Hyde. I would bawl like a baby in my place. I remember pouring alcohol down my drain, looking out my window, which had this beautiful ocean view, just begging God, please make this stop. I can't take this anymore. I'm just waiting for my whole world to unravel. When is everybody gonna find out? And how horribly wrong is this gonna go? And I'm pouring the alcohol down my drain with a voice in my head saying, what are you doing? We're just gonna go get another bottle. Sure enough, there I was an hour later getting another bottle, knowing if I drink this, I am absolutely gonna hate myself. And so part of it too was, at that time, when I was getting closer to the end of things, I was the golden boy in my company. I worked for a tech company, and when I got started, it was about 250 employees doing about 300 million in sales, so it's a good-sized organization. I started as a box boy in the warehouse, and within 5 years, I became a vice president, reporting to the owners with a tremendous responsibility. Now, halfway through that trajectory, I was still a blackout binge drinker, but they had no idea, because I could show up during the week, be the ultimate professional, but come the weekend, I was this totally other person. And so what ended up happening is I started getting arrested. They had no idea. When I would fail, when I would falter at something, there would be some kind of activation in me. And what my go-to is find some kind of numbing agent or stimulant. And that could have been drugs, it could have been alcohol, it could have been unhealthy sex. It was, making or spending money in unhealthy ways. It was anger, it was avoidance, it was all kinds of things. There's a wide spectrum of numbing agents and stimulants. And all I was looking to do was distract myself from really facing that which I needed to face. And my only goal was to seek short-term pleasure and avoid pain. And unfortunately, all it did was stack up consequences in my life, and it kept me stagnant in my own development. And I did that over and over again. The problem was I didn't know who I could go to, because I was the golden boy. I thought I had to maintain this image. I had a lot of people who were counting on me. And so I tried to do it on my own. I would pray to God, God, please take this from me. But it wasn't a fully genuine prayer. I was really at that time praying more, please make these consequences go away, but let me do it my way. And so I really wasn't receiving the messages of what he was trying to give me. I wanted to, I think out of pride, out of ego, try to prove to myself that I could conquer this on my own, because I was having successes in business, I was successful in other ways, and the shame and the pride at the same time kept me sick. I love a quote from C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis has a quote that says, "The doors to hell are locked from the inside." And that's what it absolutely felt like for me. That when I started drinking, it felt like freedom. And over a period of time, I thought I could control it without realizing I was enslaving myself. And so I got to a point where I felt like I was just absolutely locked in hell. And I didn't feel like I could confess it. There's also another quote by Plato that I love. And he said that we can forgive the child who's afraid of the dark. The real tragedy in life is a man unwilling to step into the light. And for a long time, I didn't want to step into the light. Some of it was because I didn't want to give up the drinking, the drugging, all the other unhealthy behaviors and things of that nature. I just wanted the consequences to go away. And then I was afraid to step into the light because of deep-seated shame. I just gotten to a point where I thought it was hopeless. I thought I was just going to stay stuck that way. Because I was a guy that did go to church regularly, and yet I knew I had this secret sin. But I looked around, and at what my shame was telling me and what I felt like the church was telling me is show up looking good. I didn't know who to go to in my brokenness, because it's different for somebody who might struggle with drinking from time to time versus somebody who is a blackout binge drinking alcoholic yet extremely high functioning, showing up, having everybody believe life is great. In that situation, I needed something that wasn't just something that somebody was going to tell me, just pray it away. I tried that. I tried praying over and over and over again. And there I felt, well, you don't have any other solutions for me. How can I go back to you? I thought and I knew I had something much deeper, much darker. And I also, because I tried to pray it away and that didn't work, I felt, again, God had abandoned me. And then I just abandoned God. God, if you aren't here for me, I'm just going to stray away from you. I'm not saying I was right. I'm just telling you where the warped mentality came in. I needed a renewing of the mind, and I didn't feel like I was getting that from the church. I felt like the church operated kind of from a medical sense as being more of a general practitioner on a lot of things that wanted to help me, but it was almost as if I had a brain tumor and I needed a neurologist and a neurosurgeon. I used to think before that he had abandoned me. And what I didn't realize until I really took ownership of my life and surrendered to him was I had walked away from him. He hadn't abandoned me, I had abandoned him. And it took me getting a DUI and totaling a car on a business trip, and I'm lucky I didn't kill 4 coworkers before I finally absolutely surrendered. But I realized at that point in time, actually when the police showed up, I fully confessed everything to the police. I made an airtight case against me. My attorney said, what are you doing? I could have gotten you out of that and maybe got you with a reckless driving. Why did you do that? And I honestly told him because I needed to stop me. This time I totaled a street pole, I totaled a car. Next time I'm gonna be killing somebody. So I had that as my intervention. You know, I think of Proverbs 28:13, and it talks about that he who hides his sin will be basically led to ruin, but he who confesses and turns away from it will find mercy. But when you're stuck in that trap, it's very hard to believe that you might find mercy. As a matter of fact, often what was my experience was I felt like I was going to be judged. I felt like I was going to be attacked. I thought I was going to be put out. And so I felt like I needed to hold on to it, try to wrestle with it on my own or take it somewhere else. And so there are other people who are trapped in the dark like that. And so for me, what I feel is I'm called to help people step back into the light.